4 or 5 trees of mine will have to come down. It's a very 4 or 5 trees of mine will have to come down. It's a very 4 or 5 trees of mine will have to come down. It's a very 4 or 5 trees of mine will have to come down. It's a very and they're going to start accelerating right there in front of my house, and it's going to be a very dangerous situation. So I'd appreciate any consideration and try to get the road commission to rethink this, go with the 2 roundabouts. It's more economical because they can use the existing road. They don't have to use all the fill dirt to fill in the woods. And from a cost standpoint, it's just more feasible and practical. So I appreciate any of your help in this matter, because I don't want to give up my property. I've paid taxes for 33 years.
That's your time, ma'am.
Thank you.
Before I call for the next speaker, I forgot to mention in the beginning that we don't have a back and forth dialogue, because that's dangerous. But afterwards, you can go to your appropriate commissioner, and I'm sure they will get with you. If it's me, by all means, come to me. If not, we have a section in our agenda for board member comments. They may address it then, depending on the severity or seriousness. But a lot of things that are sensitive in nature might want to be spoken of off to the side. So I just want to reiterate that before we go any further. Yes, ma'am. Please do. Off to the side. So I just want to reiterate that before we go any further. Yes, ma'am. Please do.
Thank you for letting me speak. It's very hard on us, but I'm packed with it. And we love our place so much. And we've done so much work there in love of the creatures, and we planted trees as much as we could and brought back the grasses, try to get the erosion under control. We've created a very nice, peaceful place for the animals. Oh my gosh, we have so many birds, and we have a tortoise that lays eggs by our woods, and we have orchids growing under our trees. I mean, it's just been like God has given us all these beautiful creatures, and I didn't know how hard it was going to be to talk. I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Please.
Joe Augustino. Also, I have an engineering degree, and once upon a time I worked for the Department of Transportation in Indiana, so I'm no stranger to roads. And one of the things that I see in that study, it also lacks certain other viable solutions, simplest of which would have been just straighten out part of Gumwood to make it perpendicular to Redfield. Why do we know that solution works? Because you go down the street, further down on Redfield to Ironwood, it's offset also and has flashing lights, and they don't have the trouble. And it works, but I don't see anybody there saying, let's put a road through all these houses to put Ironwood together. But I see it here. Another solution, which would have been the best solution, was to continue Gumwood North further south along the property lines and then join it up with Gumwood on the south side. But then again, you would have had to go through different people's properties. That 2014 studies, outside of being now 9 years old, doesn't have those in there. And then it concludes in it that the roundabouts, double roundabouts, are the best solution. Yet, it forces to go with they want to go with the solution for the roundabout and the road through property. And my brother mentioned it goes from 2 acres to 4 acres, now cutting off nearly 15 acres of property. You know, you guys are being elected and you appoint the road commission and you're there to represent the people. Now, for the money that's going to get spent here, there's a number of roads that could be repaved. Never surprises me how many dirt roads are in Cass County and how many other roads need to get repaved. I was happy that Carberry Road got repaved by where our property is. You know, it's a godsend because it was driving through Afghanistan for a while. You know, but and the double roundabouts, Gumwood already has 2 roundabouts on it in the Indiana side. You see them in downtown South Bend on Portage Avenue. You see the double roundabouts works in a lot of situations. And it will work in this situation with the least amount of disruption to property and to people. You represent the people. You appoint the road commission, you know. And it seems like this study, drawing that conclusion, is a forced study. Lacks certain other alternatives, et cetera, you know. And I understand maybe there's some clash of personalities or whatever, you know, but it's no reason to run roughshod a road through somebody's property. And the only benefit really is for people really to go to the mall. So I'd hate to see people say, hey, they're spending my road's not getting paved so somebody else can go to the mall. You know, and it's a heck of a way to treat a former Milton Township supervisor and a longtime resident of Cass County. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
You don't want to go before the rest of the family, though. Are you done? Okay.
Good question.
Well,
We're never done.
okay. I didn't want to cut anybody off from speaking.
Thank you very much.
All right. Eileen Choney, Cass District Library, and I just want to thank Commissioner Leyland, Marquetti, Lee, Howie, and Administrator Newton for attending our meeting yesterday. We welcome the community, welcome the attendance, and that's the first time we've had public people attend our meeting, so thank you for that. The library board does look forward to partnering with the appointment committee to fill the at-large position, and we value the communication of the appointment transparency from Newton and Rose, Newton and Jones, and we continue to encourage the attendance at those meetings. I do want to say that Leyland and Marquetti did circulate a rebuttal memo distributed to the elected officials and select residents of Cass County following my public comment. In full transparency to those residents who were not on the distribution email, you will have access to reading this copy. It has been shared with McMichael, and I've asked that it be included as a document as part of my public comment. I also want to disclose to the readers that the comments are not always factual, and the public has filed a claim with the Attorney General office and has provided this document as supporting documentation. I also want to say lastly that Leyland and Marquetti used the word animosity in the document. Please know that we, the Cass District Library, did not use that word. We do not have any animosity against anybody. This is their word of choice. I want to thank you for letting me speak today. Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am. Any more public comments? Moving right along. No recognitions, no presentations. Whoops, skipped one. Commissioner Barrera, what's your pleasure?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Agenda's been moved and seconded. Is there any debate or discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move to amend the agenda by moving motion number 3, MO 723, from the proposed consent agenda to being the first line item under new business.
Motion 07-23. And what about that one for adding me to the
No,
vacant?
those are
That's separate? Okay, I got it.
all support.
Got a motion and support for amend. Is that a roll call or is that a voice? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now, back to the agenda. We have a motion on the floor for the agenda. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second that.
But is that still a motion from you, Commissioner Barrera?
Yes.
Okay, and then Roseanne seconded? Okay.
If someone
Point of
else already.
information,
Go ahead.
so the motion has been moved, seconded, and amended. It's
Yeah.
on the floor.
Yep,
We can debate it, or we can move to vote.
got it. So, is there any debate or discussion on what just transpired?
I'm good.
All right. Can we vote for it now? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Now we can go to recognitions and presentations. All right, proposed consent agenda. What's your pleasure, Vice Chair?
I move the above listed items be voted on at one time by a roll call vote and be considered as a consent agenda by the Board of Commissioners.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any debate or discussion on that? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Locke? Yes. Chair Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Howie? Yes. Commissioner Barrera?
Yes.
Commissioner Marquetti?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
Commissioner Leyland?
Yes.
And Commissioner Lawrence?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. All right, committee reports. Start with Commissioner Leyland, District 1.
No report as of tonight.
And the pleasure of the board, we have the new commissioners. Nobody's met yet, unless I'm wrong. So we can just go from Commissioner Leyland to me to Commissioner Marquetti as we did last time. Okay. So it looks like I'm next. Normally, the public always knows that I always give our beloved veterans, because I'm the only veteran on this board, and I drove on Afghanistan and Iraq and Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. Those roads suck. But from now on, Carrie Krause, our director, she's going to give the report on the first of the month and do it monthly. And if there's something that comes up in between that, then I'll give the report also. But from now on, you all won't get to hear my lovely voice speaking of our beloved veterans, unless there's something that's critical that the public needs to know, okay? And other than that, that's all I have. Commissioner Marquetti.
Yes, I attended, I attended a Connexus Zoom meeting, and all the subsidiaries are doing well, Manufacturers Growth Alliance, Workforce Development, Bridge Academy, and Market Van Buren, but they do continue to struggle with losses of key employees. The Southwest Michigan Planning Commission Executive Committee met to approve a resolution for the Twin Cats Long-Range Plan, and the Twin Cats is the, it stands for, Benton Harbor and St. Joe. They're the Twin Cities, and it's their long-range plan. And then we did another resolution to accept the results of air quality analysis for Berrien County. For the benefit of everyone here, the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission is the regional planning commission for Berrien, Cass, and Van Buren counties.
All right, thank you, Roseanne.
I got one more.
One more? All right.
Yesterday, I, along with Administrator Newton, Finance Deputy Tito, Communications Director Nelden, Commissioners Leyland and Howie, attended a grant workshop hosted by Market Van Buren. And
All right.
it was a good workshop.
I bet. All right, any questions for Commissioner Marquetti? All right, hearing none. Administrators report.
Yes, so my report is in the packet. I got a couple things I'll touch on. Commissioner Marquetti already mentioned the grant workshop. I think that was really helpful. You know, I think we are, one of the big things is that from the administration office, I think, and all across the county, we're always very focused on finding grant opportunities that are available and trying to leverage those funds into meaningful projects. So I'm happy to keep that going. The two items I want to touch on, the Cass area artists. We are having the, I think it's the 5th regional Cass County Gallery starting February 4th. That'll be the opening reception from 2 to 4 here at the county building. That will run through April 28th. And the other thing I guess related to that is kind of exciting is there will be a story on WNIT, PBS, will air tonight, kind of talking about the origins of that and how it came to be. And some of the benefits we see across the county through that partnership. And then tomorrow morning, we'll be on Hometown Living on WSBT talking about that as well. So wish me luck. I'll be live on TV, so we'll see how that goes. The other thing I wanted to touch on, as a reminder just to all of our commissioners, we are planning a Board of Commissioners workshop for February 17th. Plan would be for that to start at 8:30 a.m. And we are working to finalize the agenda now, and we will have that out as soon as we have it ready.
It's at the Ed Lowe.
Yes, it'll be at the Ed Lowe Foundation.
Right. All right. All right. Any questions for our administrator from the board?
Now, that was the February 17th at 8:30, or was that the 18th?
Yeah, February 17th, yep.
8:30.
8:30 in the morning, yep. We'll start with kind of light refreshments at that point, and then we'll go into the workshop probably right at 9 a.m.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't get the time for WSBT. Is that 9?
I think it's 9 in the morning.
9, okay.
Yeah, the treasurer for the Cass Area Artists Association, Allie, she's been a big driver of that. Her and I will be, I don't know who we're actually talking with from WSBT, but we'll be starting, I think, around 9 and trying to get about 5-10 minutes.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for our administrator? Financial report.
It's in the packet, and if there's any questions, just let me know. And just a quick update, we're going through the audit this week. I spoke with Alan Panter early this morning, and we are about 75% of the way through, so he was super happy with the progress we've made so far. So we'll just keep carrying you through for the next few days on that.
All right, thank you. Any questions for our finance director? All right, county partners. Yes, sir. You got 5 minutes, brother.
All right, I'll try not to take it off. Thank you, commissioners, for having me up tonight. I'm Jake Young with the Cass County Conservation District. Been here a month now, learning a lot, meeting a lot of people, and learning that most people think we're the tree people that administer the SCSC program that the drain commissioner used to run, and also assist with the neat verifications for landowners and farmers in Cass County. I'm here to tell you we do a lot more than that, and there's a lot more we'd like to do. So I just wanted to throw a few things out there and let you know what's cooking over there so that everyone's aware. So real quick, conservation districts help deliver farm bill programming by engaging in outreach to farmers, producers, and landowners. We work with the NRCS staff to draft conservation plans for proposed applications, which is the first step required for any EQIP or CSP contracts. Helping farmers, producers, and landowners through the application process, which is often complicated, especially for first-time applicants. Fiscal year 22, Cass County received $650K in farm bill monies, which was more than neighboring counties, Van Buren, St. Joseph, and Kalamazoo counties. Congress has just injected an additional $20 billion with a B into conservation programming for these programs in fiscal year 23. However, the NRCS doesn't have the bandwidth to support that growth. We would love to help increase the farm bill funds received in fiscal year 23, and we can help that by increasing our capacity to support the NRCS. When the Conservation District finds additional funding, we'll be able to add staff, which will enable us to help the NRCS deliver more farm bill funds to the county, which is more money in the county. We're looking, just so everyone's aware, we're looking to add at least one conservation planner, which will increase the number of applications we can process on behalf of Cass County residents. And we're also looking to add a water quality technician to monitor the health of our 122 lakes and streams and rivers. That's my farm bill pitch. I have a little map of how all the counties did. Cass did pretty good, but I think we can get over $1 million if we're at it. So another thing I wanted to mention is the Conservation District is now registered as the county's verifier for the Michigan Green Schools Initiative, and we'll be looking to work with area educators and students to help schools achieve their environmental goals. We're actually going through a training next week, and then we'll be reaching out to area schools to see if they'd like to get involved in that program. We're also working on monarch way station projects like the one out at Lawless Park, and we'll be scheduling some hikes and paddles with the naturalists once weather permits. These are all free, fun events, and looking to get more people outside once it's 10 degrees warmer. Lastly, we're hoping to find funding to help with the outreach for restoration projects throughout the county, including habitat and shoreline restoration, reforestation, windbreaks, and invasive species control, which is a problem in the county and something we're working closely with SISMA on. Thank you for your time.
Anybody got any questions for our conservation expert? Not the tree guy.
I love trees, but we got more than that to do.
Thank you, sir. All right, under elected officials, we are missing somebody there, but we're lumping it in. So Sheriff, you are number 1.
So, good evening, afternoon, whatever we're calling this. It scared me when they walk up behind me. So I have Sam Harris and Travis Brown. They are 2 recruits that are going to be starting the police academy on Monday, and I thought I'd have them come in and introduce. You ready for your 10-minute speech? Have them present before they go to the academy. They'll spend the next 18 weeks at the Kalamazoo Valley Police Academy. When they come out in May, they'll go through an FTO process and then be licensed. Actually, they'll be licensed by us, then go through an FTO process to become road deputies for Cass County. One of the things I'd like to announce, I guess, in this process, we came up with a contract to be signed by recruits as they go to the academy. This contract was done with the help of Matt Newton, Beth Daly, and the county attorney, Carl. Can't think of his last name right now, Carl. And we took, it was a long time, but we got through it and came up with a contract for them to sign. It tells what we're responsible to provide them for the county and what they're going to be responsible to provide back to us once they completed the academy, and they both signed it very eagerly. So I wanted to give them a chance to, they might be a little skinnier next time when they come back. But anyway, we are still looking for some people to send to an academy in the future, so if you know of anybody who wants to be a road patrol officer, we will go through that process. You don't want to be one? Okay.
They said it was a conflict of interest for me to be there.
So anyway, I just had them come in and say hi and wish them luck in their transition here. So thank you.
Sure you guys don't want to speak?
I'm A-okay with staying right here. Thank you.
Yeah, we back to blue.
Thank you.
Because you might not.
Thank you, Jim.
We appreciate it.
Also, in another area of the jail, we had a project completed this last week that was a long time coming, and I want to give thanks to Dave Reef from maintenance for making it happen. When the jail was first designed in 1991, there was a flaw in the floor drain in the booking area, and my staff have been having to mop up after every time somebody took a shower in the booking area. So every time somebody comes in, they had to mop up because we didn't have a proper drain process. Dave Reef stepped up, said, we can fix this, and it's done. So we're real happy. I know Captain Shoup, who happens to be here in the room, is very thankful for that, as well as the staff. They've all said, thank you very much for getting that done. It creates a little more time for them to get their jobs done. So that being said, that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. County prosecutor. Where's our favorite prosecutor?
Really don't have too much tonight, but next meeting, February 3rd, little overdue to bring in, we've got 3 new assistant prosecutors, and again, it was a busy fall and so forth, so we haven't brought them before the commission, just so that many of you have met them already, but we'll plan to bring them next month so that you can meet them personally. That's my new chief assistant, Mary Foster, also a guy by the name of Jim Miller that many of you know over the years, and also Aiden Trainer, who's a local from graduate from Ross Beatty High School. So bring them all next week, or next meeting, so you can meet them. Also, I did want to mention, just for those prospective deputies who are now out in the hallway, when they take the stand, they won't have the option of saying they don't want to talk. So, thank you.
Nice. County treasurer.
Nothing today, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sure you are busy. County clerk, Monica.
Oh, thanks. I guess my office continues to be busy. One of the hot items in the news that continues to be hot items is elections. We had a partial recount of the November general election. Cass County was not selected. However, now that that is concluded, we can move forward with the normal audits of the November election. We had 3 precincts selected for that audit. As county clerk, I conduct those audits. So those precincts included absent voter county boards. So I'm looking to get those organized. Those are all public. I hope the public will attend. Those audits include a hand tally, and the state tells us which race to tally, and that's going to include counting of the governor's race. So I know a lot of people are interested in that. I'm happy they chose that race, very happy. That's the race the public is interested in. So I'm hoping maybe we could use this room since we have camera, maybe we could broadcast it. So if people can't be here in person, they could watch on YouTube and they could actually see the ballots, see how they're marked. And hopefully that double checks our machines and shows how everything's working. And the public can see everything that we see, and we'll take a look at our election process.
All right.
So that's our excitement.
I do not envy your job.
For using the room here in the video, is there what day is that?
I have to have it completed by February 17th, so it's probably gonna take 3 or 4 days, so I'll get with you.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Thank you.
Any further questions for our favorite clerk? All right. Nobody else? No unfinished business? New business, we're gonna go straight from what we pulled out.
Correct, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the 2023 Cass County Board of Commissioner Committees, Boards, and Commissions assignments.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I move to amend this motion by striking Commissioner Jones and inserting Commissioner Lee to serve on the Southwest Michigan Behavioral Health Substance Use Disorder Oversight Policy Board.
Got it.
I'll s-
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on that or debate?
So for open clarification,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones and I had had a discussion about it. The board is located in Portage. It is solely just because I work in Schoolcraft and it would be a lot easier for me to get there for him on the west side of the county. So that's what we had discussed, and it's just because of location.
Woo, and I am happy.
Okay, which board was that?
The Behavior Health Substance Use Disorder Oversight Policy Board.
Chairman's listed by himself on the, you have the listing.
I was like, I kept reading.
Yeah, you're good. By your nickname.
Yeah, you're good.
Give me this.
Thank you.
It's gonna be easy.
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right. Then we have that.
Yeah, take them separate.
We'll do that after this.
Yeah,
Got it.
Okay. Thank you. Who seconded that?
Commissioner Marquetti, I believe.
I supported the last.
You supported the amendment?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's been moved, supported. We got the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, you have to excuse me, where we got that one done.
Yes.
Now, we're gonna go to the next one, which will
Yes.
be,
So, Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
I move to amend this motion again to insert Commissioner Jones into the open position on the Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency.
I'll support the motion.
It's been moved and supported. Would you like to clarify that, or you want me to?
Yes. So yeah, I can clarify it. So on a couple different levels. One, you can amend a motion as many times as necessary, but you can only amend an amendment once. The reasoning for presenting 2 different amendments is to make sure that we're as open as possible and to give each different position the opportunity to be talked about.
And we had a open committee, and that's that last amendment. Now all of our committees are full, and trying to lead from example, by default, I'm on that committee, which is closer to my house than Kalamazoo. So it works out for everybody. So, all right, been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Well, that's done for that one, correct?
Yep.
All right. Moving on to our other new business. No, we got to vote on the All right,
We have to
and that's by voice also, or roll call? By voice.
voice.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed.
Thank you.
Jeremiah Jones, as chair, will get this down before the year is over. I think you all will give me some grace. I think that'll be okay. All right. M08-23, Commissioner Locke.
M-0823, motion to appoint Mary Howie to the Stone Lake Governmental Lake Board to a term ending 12/31/2024.
I'll support.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, Commissioner Lawrence.
M-09-23, motion to appoint R.J. Lee to the Shadehead Lake Governmental Lake Board to a term ending 12/31/2024.
I support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion or debate on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Need you all to say, I move.
Move.
Yeah, or when you read them, after you read it, I need you to say, I move.
move?
Yes, sir.
I move.
Yeah, we've got it,
All right.
after this. All right, number 3.
Motion M-10-23, motion to appoint Ryan Leyland to the Indian Lake Governmental Lake Board to a term ending in 12/31/24.
I second that motion.
I move.
There we go, there we go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're used to the old days. Yeah. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any debate or discussion?
Do we have any,
Yeah, go ahead.
do we have any board members that want clarity on what the governmental lake boards are? So statutorily, once, let's say like a lake improvement association moves to a point where they're not necessarily getting along together, or their monetary value of the special assessment district gets to a certain value, it switches to a governmental lake board, which is usually comprised of statutorily the commissioner that represents the district, and then the supervisor or their designee of the township or the municipality, and then a few members from the lake association, or residents of the lake.
Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 4, Commissioner Howie.
M-11-23, motion to approve fiscal year end 2022 budget amendments as presented. I move.
I second.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Matt, could you give us the Reader's Digest version of why we have budget amendments after we've approved the budget?
Yeah, I can, you want to do it? We'll let the finance director,
Yeah.
I think she can do it.
Come on up, please.
Some of those items were super close, so we were trying to see where we were ending up. Also, there are adjusting entries that are requested by the auditors, or sometimes we're implementing new. GASB 87 is the one we're implementing this year. So sometimes it's requiring some entries that haven't been seen before. I know I actually had a question on GASB 84 in an entry we were making in one of the budget adjustments that were listed on there. It's just because we had implemented what we were requested to do, and so we're just trying to catch up. Also, last year, we were over budget by one item for $952, I believe it was. The state will write you up if you're spending more than you're allowed to be. So we were waiting until the very, very end to make sure that we've captured everything. That way we're not out of budget for everything and could bring all of those to you all at once. I didn't want to keep bringing them back and forth. We do that a lot of times anyway, trying to keep up with everything, but in year end, there's just so many entries, it's better to wait for them all at once.
And that's why this one is longer than it normally would be
Yes.
any other time.
And previously, I know, like my predecessor was only doing them quarterly. I like to keep the board updated, and as soon as I know about something, I like to get it out there right away to you guys, so we're not coming with a whole bunch of them quarterly.
And could you, either you or Matt, explain our relationship with the vendors and why we pay them ahead of time?
Sure, I can touch on that. I guess one other thing I'll touch on with the adjustments real quick is usually you'll probably see two different types. This is for a kind of year-end adjusting entry. So part of the reason for that too also is that our fiscal year ends as of September 30th, but we keep getting bills and revenues continue to come in. So that's where sometimes those adjustments come in, is kind of that lag time for any revenue or expense that we have to, with accrual-based accounting, record that in the period it was incurred. So that's where that happens and where that kind of walk-back period happens. The other sort of budget amendments that you will see throughout the year would be if unexpected things come up. So let's say, for example, we have a project that we end up having to do and we hadn't anticipated that last year. That's where an amendment could come up and say, hey, we'd like to have authorization to move forward with that. So that's where that would come in also. With claims, there's two things, I guess, that kind of come into that. So we have a claims policy and a purchasing policy that kind of apply to how the whole process works. So purchasing kind of outlines in terms of our different departments, as well as with me, what levels of purchasing authority there are. So under $3,000, department heads are allowed to approve expenditures as long as it's contained within the budget. Up to $19,999.99 would apply to the county administrator in coordination with those department heads if it's approved in the budget. And then anything over $20,000 would require the Board of Commissioners to approve. And as you start going up there from there, you get to a point where RFPs might be required and other actions of the board before we would proceed with that. One of the reasons that, I guess the primary reason with claims being paid is the way they are, is that there can be a lag time. So sometimes by the time we get an invoice, the service was performed here, the invoice gets here. If we're approving it really late, there's always the potential that we could have, late fees or things like that. So that's part of that process, is helping to try to avoid late fees or other, penalty fees that could arise. And then, of course, we ensure through the AP process that purchasing policy has been followed, the claims policy has been followed, and that nothing goes through AP that hasn't, fit the criteria of those categories and those requirements.
All right. Any other questions?
I have a question just regarding the adjustments, just for my knowledge. Could we, there's an adjustment on here that says due to an entry, the auditors make us make for $30,000. Just doesn't, I'm not real clear on that.
Yeah, and that's, I think,
I answered this one earlier, actually. So that is from the implementation of GASB 84. There is a district court bank account that holds bonds and restitution, and it's held in what's called a fiduciary fund, basically funds that aren't ours. Basically, you think about a bond coming in, and as long as they fulfill. Anyway, a lot of times that's not given up. If it was, we would make that as revenue. So it sits there as a liability. With GASB 84, in those fiduciary funds, they're making us show inflows and outflows as revenues and expenditures as well, which is very interesting and something, even our previous finance director was like, wow. It is something very different. It doesn't flow under the government completely because it is a fiduciary fund, so they're just showing those inflows and outflows as revenues and expenditures as well. So your restitution, for instance, when the money comes in, even though it's not our money, we're showing it as revenue. When it goes out, it's that expenditure. Does that help? I have the GASB 84. If you're interested in it, I can share that with you if you're interested in that.
That'd be great.
But that was just me making that revenue and expenditure line.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
the other thing I guess I'll note real quick just for everybody too is with the way, and we can maybe look to kind of put a total amount at the bottom to kind of show this a little bit better, but with the kind of revenues and expenditures and those increases and decreases, this overall amendment for all of them is budget neutral. So there actually is no overall increase or decrease in the budget. For any areas where there were increases, we were able to offset those and decreases in other areas of the budget. So it's a net zero amendment.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, this is me. It's a motion to approve letters of understanding for the following collective bargaining units. A, for the patrol sergeants, the correctional sergeants, patrol and detectives, and the corrections and clerks. I'd entertain a motion from the board to approve this.
I so moved.
I second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Matt, could you explain why we have this and
Yeah.
why it's a good or bad thing?
Yeah, so this started, I believe we had this in place last year. And essentially the way the letters of understanding work is that, kind of, I believe it's in the last month of one of the employees' years before their anniversary date. If they haven't utilized their vacation, they would be able to elect up to 80 hours of vacation to be paid out. The reason for that, I think these make sense, and the reason they made sense last year as well, is that when you start looking at staffing, if we have areas where we might be short-staffed in some respects, the only way to accommodate that vacation would be to pay another employee overtime to come in and cover that vacation. So in this instance, it saves money to pay out that vacation at straight time than to then have time and a half to cover that person's time off. I mean, of course, that's available for the other 11 months of the year, so if they want to use that vacation time appropriately, they certainly can. But if they choose to then take it as a payout, that's always an option here under this letter of understanding as well.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I talked pretty extensively with the sheriff over this, just going through a couple different things. Like, I want to make sure that the health of our officers is there, their mental health stays, and he assured me that, you know, he'd make sure that they continue to take those vacations when necessary. But I mean, we went through it, it does save money. It goes from like paying 2.5 times an hour to paying twice an hour, because you're basically paying them to work, and then they're getting their vacation time, so they're doubling, not 2.5, because you're not paying another employee overtime.
Right.
This is only for 1 year. I didn't see any big issue with it.
All right. Neither did I. Yes, ma'am.
I also spoke with the sheriff about it, and I agree with what Commissioner Lee says, that it's so important for them to take their vacations, and Sheriff did indicate that in the letter that he wrote to us, so.
And being a detective, I wish. Being a deputy, part-time, and I was a reserve for 15 years here in Cass County, and my military service, I'd like to tell everybody in the public that don't know, being a cop is just like being a soldier. It eats you from the inside. You need that time off.
You do?
Their mental welfare, I don't know the statistics on police suicides or divorce rates and all that, but I'm sure it's up there with the military. You know, so this is a good thing, and we need to protect our blue. We back our blue in this county. I almost said hood. That's an Army thing. All right, it's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? We need a roll call for that one, or that one's also, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Awesome. Motion passes. All right, our next item is discussing the committee of the whole. And just to start it off, we need a start time, and we need the dates to where we need to do it. And it was discussed through the standing commissioners, me, Commissioner Leyland, Commissioner Marchetti, and in the past, it would happen just prior to our normal meeting. But it's up to you all as a group. And the dates, that goes without saying. Whenever we have a normal or regular meeting, that would be the date, because that's convenient for everybody. But we'll open up for discussion for anything anybody wants to add as far as our board.
How much time would you need for us to meet?
Well, the meaning or the purpose of the COW, or the committee of the whole, is to discuss items that will go on the next agenda for our next regular meeting. That way, we have plenty of time from our elected officials and our department heads, our commissioners, to get things on the agenda, and we have time to discuss them. And remember, my first statement, or my last statement, when I got elected chair, was we're gonna have complete transparency. So that would enable this. So how much time we would need? Me, being a military guy, you know, bam, 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 bam. You got 1 hour. If you take more than an hour, you ain't got your ducks in a row. So my personal thing, I would say 3:30 or 4 o'clock.
The old committee of the whole, from what I've been told, got out of hand and was very, very lengthy. With the committee of the whole, besides besides working on things for future agendas, we do have the option of taking some of the 6 Board of Commissioner committees, and we can transfer a couple of those committees and maybe conflicting time schedules for people and put them into the committee of the whole, if you also choose. Or we just leave the committee whole, schedule it 3 o'clock, run it for an hour just to work on agenda items for a future meeting.
And which of those, name those committees?
The first 6.
Because this is important for you all that are on these
So it'd be the
committees.
Appointments Committee, the ARPA Ad hoc Committee, Capital Project Committee, Policy Committee, Salary Committee, and the Surplus Property Committee.
So instead of meeting on those days separate, you can meet, and that would bring our time to like 3 o'clock or 1500 for my military people out there. And then we wouldn't be wasting any time, and we could take some of those days and consolidate them into that one, and it would free up you all's schedule for other stuff.
Policy and appointment committees are at 3 o'clock.
So if they're already, then we'd be here.
I mean, they're the opposite ones.
The opposite Thursday,
Yeah.
The standing meeting.
the standing one.
standing.
So it would then get changed to be right before our regular commissioner meeting.
Just a note, I mean, I think with the appointments, or any other committee, I think the idea was, is the items that we have kind of distributed that showed kind of the meeting schedules, like, the 4th Thursday at this time or whatever, that was just kind of give some historical context. I mean, I think that, the committees as appointed now could certainly determine, what timing works best for you. So if it's not at, that time that had been done before, we can certainly change that too.
And what we're doing here today, we're not deciding on it right now. We're going to put it on the agenda to be voted on. So we have time between now and our next meeting, February 3rd, to get our input into either me or Matt or Ryan, and then we'll just consolidate something, put it on the agenda, and we'll all vote for it.
So then, the bigger thing, if we so choose not to move any of these standing committees directly into the cow, we need to establish the set yearly schedule for all these committees to meet and get that published and vote on that at the next
Quickly.
meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But we can take any business or movements that is brought forth to any of those committees and push that to the cow to discuss it as a group.
All out in the public, and then that we can invite the department heads or elected officials that are affected by anything we do. They will be available, or as much as possible, because some of them are super, super busy, especially, during election time, but there'll be another opportunity for transparency and people to be involved on our decisions. So I think what we could do is, if it's allowed, all of us email Matt if we want the standing committees in the cow, and what time we'd like to have it, and date. And then the majority, I don't know, that's not really a vote, that's just what our availability is. Me being retired, sir, and the other retired guy right there, we're pretty freed up. But the rest of you all got jobs and lives. So, can we do that?
I'm asking RJ, does that conflict with the Open Meetings Act if we email to Matt or?
Well, I think
if it's individual.
Yeah, individually.
Individual, and we don't
Okay.
actively see each other, like it.
Okay.
It's
He's gonna tally those results to bring our
Yes.
next,
He tallies them,
yeah, he's gonna use that to build the next agenda item. To vote on it.
Yeah, that'd be the key. I mean, you couldn't decide that way, but if it was just providing feedback that I bring
Yes.
back, I don't see an issue with that.
That's it.
Okay.
And with that,
Don't send all.
Just send it to Matt. And with that agenda for the cow will be published, I think it was 10 days, or it's a statutory that it's gonna be published to the public prior to, so
Yeah.
even for more transparency, the public is gonna get it, then the elected officials, department heads, and us.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing would be, we would specify at least 4 business days in advance.
Yes.
So that really amounts to, with the way the timing is, I mean, I guess it would depend on the day of the week, but normally that's about a week of time altogether when you factor in weekends. So very similar to what we have now, where packets would come out on, say, a Friday, and then if it was same Thursday, you'd have your committee the come out and then the regular meeting packet that same day, so you'd have two to review.
And one issue that was brought up was the timeline of elected officials or department heads getting it to us. They don't have time for some things because of statutory law, grant timelines, or something that's very important like our public safety. Those things, those items will come on a case-by-case basis to us on the agenda, and it'd be an amendment to the agenda if it was last minute, because things happen, right? So that squares away that. I don't think we'll have a problem, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think the rules, and of course the policy committee can review this if they so choose, but the most recently adopted Board of Commissioner rules, I think, accounted for that in the sense
Yeah.
that if there was a last minute change of any sort, that was requested to be submitted by Wednesday, so that could be distributed to commissioners, so you guys were aware of that. And then I think the other thing would be, I think it's the main thing.
Yeah.
I guess with respect to, no, just we'll leave that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. We're whipping it. All right, any further discussion on our committee of the whole?
No, I'm in full support of the committee of the whole. I appreciate the transparency. I look forward to it. So I just want to say, thank you for bringing that back up.
Yes, sir. Any other discussion on the committee of the whole? All right, we're gonna end that there, and we'll get that taken care of. I like it. All right, board member comments. We're gonna start around the horn. Commissioner Leyland.
Hope everybody's having a great time being 2 weeks deep into being new commissioner.
Commissioner Barrera.
Yeah, on that note, I will say it's been a busy 2 weeks. It's been a great 2 weeks, just getting caught up to speed with everything that's going on. I just want to take this moment to just say, I appreciate Richard for coming and his family for coming out here and speaking with us today. So thank you for taking the time.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Marquetti.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on what Administrator Newton said about the Cass area artists and their 5th regional exhibit. Please come, everybody come. It is fabulous. They even put a cabinet, excuse me, out in the hall, and they'll have wood carvings, they'll have ceramics, they'll have fabrics. It's really a great thing, and the opening day, which is the 4th, that's always exciting, and we have usually have a great turnout, and you can purchase items.
Thank you.
And snacks. Thank you.
Commissioner Lee.
I would just like to say that attending the library meeting last night was good and insightful, just to kind of see what happens with what they do. So I'd recommend to the other board members to at least make it to that meeting at least once. And then, I gotta point out my baby girl there. You should know that my first meeting ever, at 12:15, that baby was being born, and I was year 5.
Dedicated.
Luckily, it wasn't your first child.
That's my first girl, though.
Commissioner Lawrence.
I'd just like to thank everyone for the opportunity to come in and serve. I'd like to thank Sheriff Banky. He's really been an encouragement to me, along with Victor Fitz and the Howies, and I'm just overwhelmed, and I thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I want to thank you folks for coming in and expressing your concerns. I appreciate that very much, and all the other folks out here that work in and through the county, thank you. I appreciate it very much. You too back there, understaffed.
All right. Commissioner Locke.
I just want to say thank you to everybody that wanted to be here and learning as much as I possibly can and absorbing it, and it's been wonderful working with all the different branches and getting to know them and seeing exactly what they're doing, and they're here for the community, so we just want to continue that.
We look behind the curtain of Oz. Commissioner Howard.
I agree with Commissioner Rivera. It's been an incredible 2 weeks so far. Lots of meetings, meeting new people. I did attend the library meeting last night, fantastic meeting. I just want to thank you. I feel really honored that I'm sitting here It's a humbling experience.
It is.
A little bit scary at
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
I want to do the right thing,
yeah.
and I really appreciate the family coming in. My heart goes out to you. And I guess just thank you.
Getting to me, I ran my mouth too much, so I have nothing to say, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Move in second, all in favor?